Starting off hot.
Starting off very hot. All right, I didn't think the mic was on. All right, good evening and welcome once again to the 8 o'clock TSB News Desk, where once again we are tripping through time with me and my fellow time reporting anchors. We found ourselves in the year 1979. It was the end of the 70s and disco has officially died. America was wrapped up dealing with a hostage crisis in Iran, and the rest of the world was watching. Sony was about to break the music landscape with a revolutionary device, and it is official. Smallpox has been eradicated. Congratulations, guys. More on that all later tonight, and so much more as we dive deep into 1979. The TSB News crew, as always, we have Eric Lakes Milk McIsaac, our pop culture guide who will later be breaking down the best movies, television, celebrity, and hottie watch of 1979. As well, sitting next to me, we got Ryan Kooks Roots. He's our resident in charge of sports and music, covering all the biggest stories and the biggest hits of the year. Then we got myself, Dane Crooked Cut Esplin, co-anchor and producer on the fly. I'll be back later to tell you about the big and small events in the world, as well as all the firsts, and that means inventions, character introductions, literary works, and firsts all throughout 1979. But before we get to that, let me quickly get this out of the way. As I said, we are The Spare Bedroom, coming at you live on twitch.tv/The Spare Bedroom, where we record these shows live, including this one at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Sundays. As well, you can be a part of the live chat if you are here. But if you miss it, if you're doing something else, if you find yourself busy in time, don't worry. We'll put these up on YouTube the following day. A nice edited version for you where you won't see that intro. As well, we got any audio podcast service. Just search The Spare Bedroom and you can find us. All right. And with all that out of the way, we are going to jump into
1979.
1979.
1979. What are you doing first?
I'm going to talk a little fashion, going to talk a little toys, the big toys of that year, and yeah, we'll start off with that.
All right, we'll be back after these quick sponsors.
I'm the big cheese on my team. The other guy's playing 65% polyester. Me, 100% cashmere, man. Every club wanted me, but I signed with the Chipmunks. Got an 8-year contract. All the Cheetos I want. The big cheese. They're made with real cheese. Tastes delicious. Now fans ask me to autograph my Cheeto snacks. Ever try writing to Skippy, Good Luck, Whip Willis on a cheese puff?
Cheetos brand cheese-flavored snacks. The big cheese.
Hello, I'm Eric. I'm here today to talk about fashion. So 1970s fashion. The look was bell-bottoms, tight shirts, tucked-in dress shirts, high socks, big tinted glasses, big hair. Disco was at its peak, so everyone I assumed was running around looking like John Travolta. But if you ever watch this show, that 70s show, basically everyone looked like that. Big glasses, big hair, big bush, big bell-bottoms, everything. The women were rocking the bright colors, lots of eye makeup, heavy on the makeup, I noticed. A lot of slutty dresses. The vintage filter I found out was not necessary back then, because if you just printed off a picture, it just came out faded and with a shitty orange tint. So, yeah, that was basically the fashion. As you can see, I'm very fashionable. I've been told I look like McLovin. I've also been told I look like Shrek today. So, yeah, if you're gonna take fashion advice, take it from this fucking guy. We'll jump into toys next. The big toy of the year was the Atari 2600. It was released in 1969. It was released with 9 simple games, very low resolution, very poor quality, but not a bad toy for the year considering it's started a revolution. It helped start the gaming revolution in the community. And seeing as the hot toy of the next year was the Rubik's Cube, that wasn't, the Atari was actually a pretty dope Christmas gift that year. It would have cost about $200 in 1979, so that was roughly $760 by today's standards with inflation. Another hot toy that year was the Strawberry Shortcake doll. I remember I had one of those at my grandma's house. It still stunk. It still smelled like strawberries, actually, 30 years later. They were a hot toy that year. They were a little bit more affordable. The dolls smelled like their names. They included apple dumpling, strawberry muffin, huckleberry pie, and diarrhea shit. And yeah, those were the hot toys that year.
For you parents who don't speak Klingonese, he's saying, people of Earth, unite and bring your kids to McDonald's for a Star Trek meal. That's a regular hamburger, fries, soft drink, a McDonald and cookie sampler, and a Star Trek prize. Oh, yes, 5 different boxes based on Star Trek the Motion Picture. Action scenes, jokes, games. He says, take it from a father who knows. His kids love him. McDonald's Star Trek meal available for your kids now.
And we're back. A little technical difficulties. It is 1979. I don't know why you guys are complaining. Let's take it into sports a little bit here. In Super Bowl 13, the Pittsburgh Steelers would defeat the Dallas Cowboys 35-31 to become the first team to win the Lombardi Trophy 3 times. Terry Bradshaw would win the MVP after passing for 318 yards and 4 TDs. After the game, when he was asked if he was going to go to Disneyland, Terry responded by asking if Walt had found the cure for male pattern baldness yet. The World Series would see yet another Pittsburgh team crowned champions, as the Pittsburgh Steelers would win the series in 7 games behind the bat of Hall of Famer Willie Stargell. In other baseball news, it's 1979, so people still actually care about baseball. In the world of basketball, the Seattle Supersonics would be crowned champions by defeating the Washington Bullets 4-1. This would go down as the only championship ever won by the Seattle franchise, and the MVP award went to future Hall of Famer Dennis Johnson. I know what you're all thinking. Who the fuck is Dennis Johnson? I don't know. Look him up. Last but not least, Stanley Cup trophy was hoisted by the Montreal Canadiens for a record 22nd time after they defeated the New York Rangers in 5 games. The fact that over the course of this show, I'm going to have to mention the Montreal Canadiens 24 times is infuriating, so I will not be going to any further details about that. Magic Johnson would go number 1 in the NBA draft, starting his Hall of Fame career. And for my main story of the evening, I'm taking you back to the world of baseball. Promotional nights in baseball are quite common and have led to many plastic bobbleheads filling the nation's landfills. However, on July 12, 1979, a promotion by the Chicago White Sox would make some history. The season was going poorly. The White Sox were struggling with their attendance, so a local shock jock DJ named Steve Dahl was the head of an anti-disco movement in Chicago and had a great idea. Disco Demolition Night was born. Anyone with a disco record and $1 could attend the doubleheader against the Detroit Tigers that night, and in between games, they would blow them all up. The Sox had been averaging around 12,000 fans, but they sold over 50,000 tickets that night, and it's estimated an additional 20,000 people snuck into the stadium. It was chaos. When it came time to blow up the records, the explosion was a lot bigger than anticipated, and they blew a crater right into center field. The field was then stormed by all the non-baseball fans who proceeded to destroy the remainder of the field and disco at the exact same time, causing so much damage that they actually had to forfeit the second game. This would prove to be a cautionary tale to all Major League Baseball owners that just because your game is boring, it doesn't mean blowing things up is going to make people want to keep watching after. And that was sports. After the break, we'll be back with Dane.
When you cough a lot, people may not say anything, but what they're really thinking is,
keep your cough to yourself.
Novahistine can help, because Novahistine cough formula helps quiet your cough, and Novahistine DMX with decongestant also relieves congestion.
I'm keeping my cough to myself.
Novahistine helps you keep your cough to yourself.
All right. Well, producing on the fly, I told you. Welcome back, and you are here once again with me, Crooked Cut, your time tripping anchor, here now to bring you in the world news and events and random stories that interested me coming out in 1979, starting with America, who is now seeing themselves involved in a hostage situation with American diplomats in Iran. The Iran hostage crisis was a diplomatic standoff between the United States and Iran. It lasted over 433 days. Most notably, recently, you may know these events from Argo, which was written and directed by Ben Affleck, an Oscar award-winning movie. As well in America, more specifically Pennsylvania, an event known as the 3 Mile Island accident took place, where a partial meltdown of a reactor number 2 on the 3 Mile Island nuclear generating station in Pennsylvania near Harrisburg started a radiation leak that occurred on March 28, 1979. It is the most significant accident in the U.S. commercial nuclear power plant history. Some conspiracy theories around the event include the movie The China Syndrome, where events in the movie mirrored real-life events. Strangely, the movie premiered 12 days before the incident on 3 Mile Island. Perhaps somebody was inspired by the movie. Over in New York, another somewhat happy accident was taking place on December 2nd, 1979. Alveda Adams jumped from the 86th floor of the Empire State Building in a suicide attempt, only to be blown back on the ledge of the 85th floor by a gust of wind that left her with a broken hip. Wild story. Wild story. And in what may be considered a dark comedy story, the Grover Cleveland Elementary School shooting took place on January 29th, 1979, at a public elementary school in San Diego, California. The principal and a custodian were killed. 8 children and police officer Rob were injured. A 16-year-old girl, Brenda Spencer, who lived in a house across the street from the school, was convicted of the shootings. When asked why she did the shootings, she had a simple response: I don't like Mondays. This later inspired Bob Geldorf and Johnny Fingers to write Boomtown Rat's song, I Don't Like Mondays. The world is a wacky place, but moving on from America, we are going to the other side of the globe to Australia, where an act of littering unlike any other is about to take place. NASA's Skylab is slowly falling back into Earth's atmosphere, and it's becoming a worldwide story, where people feared that the satellite debris was going to fall and kill them, which then created a craze of people selling t-shirts, hats, everything about satellite repellent. The Skylab eventually crashed, mainly in the ocean, with some parts of Australia getting hit by small amounts of debris. Australia would then later charge NASA with a $400 littering fine that was never paid until 2009, when a random citizen fundraised the money. As well, a radio station in San Francisco held a prize for $10,000 if anybody brought debris to the radio station. A 24-year-old Australian whose house was hit by a piece of debris flew to San Francisco and collected the $10,000 prize with his family. From Australia and Skylabs crashing to the ground, we moved to New Zealand and planes crashing into mountains, where the Mount Erebus disaster happened, but that's a bummer, so no need to dwell on it. Let's get to space, motherfuckers. In 1979, 2 of NASA's deep space probes were slowly traveling across our galaxy, relaying some of the earliest pictures and recordings of Jupiter and Saturn. The Pioneer 11 and Voyager 1, 2 small probes revealed the beauty of our planets as they did pass-bys taking pictures and videos. The Voyager 1 was sent out on September 5th, 1977, and in 1979, it started to pass Jupiter, getting as close as 349,000 kilometers, so not close at all. But we got some of our first great pictures of Saturn and Jupiter, as well as the Pioneer 11, which was shipped out on April 6, 1973, but it wasn't until 1979 that it reached Jupiter. And there you have it, some news from around the world and then some from space. It was the end of the 70s, and that's my time. I hope you learned yourself a little something, but now a word from more of our sponsors.
Oh, what a feeling! A Toyota feeling. It takes more than good looks to come out on top. The Toyota four-wheel drive truck, a son of a Land Cruiser. Not just stylish to be seen in high places.
Thank you, Jimmy.
But powerful enough to get you there and economical enough to afford the trip.
Morning, Judge.
The Toyota four-wheel drive truck. Drive it today, and you be the judge.
Oh, what a feeling to ride Toyota.
Hello, welcome back. It's me, Eric, again. How you doing? Today we're talking, this is a segment I'm doing every time. It's just called Hotties. I haven't came up with a name yet. I haven't come up with a cool name yet, so I'm sorry. So I'm just gonna call it Hotties. So I'm gonna talk about the hottie people of 1979. The best looking ones, or the ones that my aunties and uncles sent me pictures of, or told me to look up, because I wasn't alive that year, but I looked up these people and they're pretty hot. So the it girl that year was Meryl Streep. She's hot off of 2 hits that year, Kramer versus Kramer and The Deer Hunter. She's considered one of the greatest living actresses. To date, she's been nominated for 21 Academy Awards, and she's at her prime in 1979, and I think she's a fucking dime. I never really thought she was that hot nowadays, because, you know, she's old now, but back in the day, she was a fucking hottie. Just look at that picture right there. Who wouldn't want to wake up next to that? Next up, we got a classic, Farrah Fawcett. She's sadly not with us anymore, but she was with you guys in 1979, and she was the hot blondie from Charlie's Angels. She was banging the $6 million man at the time, and she had that poster that fucking every guy in the 70s and 80s had hanging up on their wall. And she also started that hair fashion, the big feathered out hair look, which I never really cared for all that much, but it's not a big deal. The next hair fashion girl had an even shittier hairstyle, but I still think she's very hot. Bo Derek. She had the fucking braided look. She was in a movie called 10, which is about a guy who falls in love with a girl who's really hot, and he's not a very good-looking lad. I remember her from the movie Orca, which was a very poorly produced movie about a killer whale who killed people, and she got her leg bitten off in it. Yeah, she got that beach bod, that beach babe look. She made girls with braids seem less like fucking losers. So, yeah, she had that going for her, and just look at her. Next up, we got a guy. We're on to the guys now. So, yeah. Leif Garrett, future heroin addict. The long-haired, dreamy-eyed drug slut. Definitely hit his prime at 17. I only ever seen him in one movie. It was called Skateboard, and it wasn't very good, but my Auntie Chris said that he was the hottie of that year, so there you go. I mean, he looks pretty good. He's got that long hair. But yeah, definitely haven't seen much of him lately. The next is a trio, the old Dukes of Hazzard gang. Some good old boys. Tom Wolpat, who's currently being charged with sexual harassment. John Schneider, who was the dad in that fucking Superman show. Smallville, I think it was called. Yeah, Smallville. I didn't watch that shit. And Catherine Bach, who I don't know much about, but she was hot. She was Daisy Duke. She's the legendary short chick, and the good old boys. They played a bunch of inbred, sexy, drunk good old boys and girls who rip around in their 1969 Dodge Charger. And yeah, they have a fat uncle named Uncle Jesse, and they sold moonshine and such. Classic show. I didn't watch it much. My brother did. I thought it was too redneck for me. But hey, Daisy Dukes, always a treat. And last but definitely least, John Travolta. Yeah, I don't know. I just watched a movie with him the other day, and he is a fucking very unappealing man. Not bad to look at. I will give him, he did look good in Grease, but in Saturday Night Fever, he plays an absolute nightmare of a human being. And if you tune into me and Dane's shitty movie review show, you will find out all about that. Yeah, but he was good. He was hot off Grease and Saturday Night Fever, so he was the go-to guy with his butt chin and feathered hair and kind of greasy demeanor, but, you know, this is before he got fat and joined this Church of Scientology, so what can you do? But yeah, those are the hotties. A couple honorable mentions I wanted to throw out here. They don't have pictures, but Burt Reynolds, Donna Summers, Carrie Fisher, and that's it. Yeah. Anyway, so that's hotties. Up next, we got Kooks with music, I think. Yep. Music.
Ring in the holidays. Ring out the year. Sparkling with Andre. Love and good cheer. Take Andre home for the holidays. Andre for the holidays.
What's a celebration without Andre Champagne to lend sparkle and elegance to your good times? Greet the season and your friends with the best. Andre.
For the holidays and all year long.
And we're back. My turn again, coming in hot with the music of 1979. We're going to start off with some happenings, some events. On January 6th of 1979, ABC's American Bandstand featured the debut of the YMCA dance, using the hand gestures forming letters YMCA during a broadcast with the Village People. This, of course, would go down as the biggest day in the history of all junior high dances. Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are would win Song of the Year and Record of Year at the Grammys this year. The song wasn't universally accepted, though, as new ladies' man and heartthrob Elton John would call the track pretty gay. Donna Summer became the first female to have a #1 single, Hot Stuff, and album, Bad Girls, for a second time, which is a fantastic accomplishment for women. However, this also was a disco album, and fuck disco, okay? September 16th, the Sugar Hill Gang released Rapper's Delight in the United States. This is the first rap single to become a top 40 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Have you ever really listened to the lyrics of this song, though? They really had to tone down the language for the white people to get the mainstream success. My favorite lyric is, and I quote, and I'm quoting slowly because I have to read them. Go up a little bit. There we go. Have you ever went over to a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good? I mean, the macaroni's soggy and the peas are mushed and the chicken tastes like wood. So you try to play it off like you think you can by saying that you're full, and then your friend's mama says, nuh-uh, that's bull. What the fuck was going on? But they got it on the radio. It was a pretty big deal. Some #1 songs from the era included, and we'll go with disco first. The Bee Gees had 3 #1 songs on the Billboard Hot 100. Too Much Heaven for 2 weeks, Tragedy for 2 weeks, and Love You Inside Out for a week. Donna Summers, also from the disco era, did have Hot Stuff, which we still see overplayed in movies to this day. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall hit the scene this year. I'll talk about that more later, but Don't Stop Till You Get Enough hit #1 for a week. The song that was on the Billboard Top 100 for the longest, My Sharona by the Knacks, 6 consecutive weeks. It was followed by Bad Girls, Donna Summer for 5 weeks, and the only other one that was more than 2 weeks was Do You Think I'm Sexy by Rod Stewart's No Rod, No I Do Not. And that is music. Coming up next, we have Dane with First.
Another cold and flu season. This morning you felt it coming on. Now you're really achy and feverish with a cold or flu. What you need is Bayer aspirin. For aches and fever, all you need is Bayer aspirin. Bayer is 100% pure aspirin. And of all medicines available for aches and fever of colds and flu, doctors recommend aspirin most. So this winter for aches and fever, rest, fluids, and all you need is Bayer aspirin.
All right. Welcome back to Time Trippin' at the TSB News Desk. If you're just joining us, we've been discussing the year 1979. And if you're here with me, Crooked Cut, we're about to get into the many firsts of 1979, including literary works, character introductions, inventions, creations, and other firsts that may have taken place in this year. Starting with some books, we're going to get into some first editions, some popular written literature that you may have been finding yourself reading in 1979, including some popular titles include... All right, yeah, I'm going to need you guys to do this, actually. All right, let's get into some books. Again, producing on the fly. Some popular titles. Flowers in the Attic, a gothic novel by V.C. Andrews, is the first book in the Dollinger series. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It was twice adapted into films in 1987 and in 2014. The book is very popular, selling over 40 million copies worldwide. We also got The Dead Zone, a science fiction thriller novel written by Stephen King, published in 1979. The story follows Johnny Smith and is the first... No, you got to scroll down for me as well. On me.
Oh.
Yep.
Gotcha. I was like, I thought there's only one books page.
You see what I do for you guys? All right. It was the first novel to feature Castle Rock, which was later a place in many of his books and as well a TV series. The book spawned a 1983 film adaptation, I believe. Christopher Walken. Did not know that. Yeah. All right, as well, we got every nerd's favorite book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a comedy science fiction book written by Douglas Adams. It was originally a 1978 radio comedy broadcast on BBC Radio 4. It was later adapted into other formats. It's been stage plays. It's 2005 feature film, 1984 video game, and 1981 TV series. This thing has been adapted so much. It's just a filthy British whore. And now, King or Adams, that's a tough choice. If only we as a society had another way to describe a tough situation. William Styron's fucking got you, fam. Sophie's Choice, a 1979 novel by William Styron. Again, don't know if I'm saying that right. It's about 3 people sharing a boarding house in Brooklyn, a young aspiring writer, a Jewish scientist, and a Polish Catholic survivor who was in the German Nazi concentration camps. Again, Sophie's Choice won U.S. National Book Award for fiction in 1980. The novel was a basis as well for a 1982 film of the same name. My personal favorite of the year, and the one that I have in my hands right here, the fucking never-ending story. That's right. Woo! Turn around. Look at what you see. All right, I butchered that. What would be turned into one of my favorite movies of all time and one of my earliest stories I seen that got me hooked on the idea of a hero's journey with Atreyu and even Bastian. Yes, The Neverending Story was a German fantasy novel written by Michael Ende, published in 1979. The first English translation was published in 1983, later adapted into several films, only one that we really care about. We don't really talk about 2 or 3. As well as a TV movie on YTV one time. We don't talk about that either. Actually had a decent cartoon show that we will talk about. Actually, I don't know anything about it. I remember I watched it, though. So those are some literary works. As well, in the comic book world, we did have the Demon in a Bottle storyline, which was an Iron Man storyline, which was the first introduction of Tony Stark basically being an alcoholic piece of shit. And that's basically why they got Robert Downey Jr. to be the role, because he wasn't acting. But let's, oh yes, and as well, in Japan, Mobile Suit Gundam, the first Mobile Suit Gundam series was written, as well adapted into an anime in 1979, later would become many different series. It is now 40 years going strong, Gundam. They just built a life-size replica of the Gundam from this series in Japan that moves and can give you the middle finger, and it's pretty fucking awesome. Scroll down. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So those are some fictional works or some books, literary works that you may have found yourself reading in 1979. And now quickly, I'm just going to get into some comic book characters that were first introduced in 1979 real quick. And that's comics. Yeah, you guys got it.
Characters?
Yeah, so make that one visible, make the other one not. Yeah, you get it. Boom. All right. Introduced in 1979 in the comics, we got Lucius Fox, a Batman advisor. You may know him, played by Morgan Freeman in the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. He's just Batman's like rich guy who knows who Batman is and funds him and gives him cool gadgets. You got War Machine, Tony Stark's sidekick, played by Terrence Howard in the movies, later replaced by Don Cheadle, one of the few casting changes in the Marvel Universe. You got Scott Lang, the second Ant-Man, introduced in 1979. You know him as Paul Rudd in the movies. I mean, hey, look at us. All right, go watch his and Michael Douglas's promotion commercial for Ant-Man. It's literally like the greatest piece of promotional material I've ever seen in my life. Just search Ant-Man, Michael Douglas, Paul Rudd. You won't be disappointed. Team Alpha, a group of Canadian mutants that were created to flesh out Wolverine's backstory. You got Sasquatch, North Star, Snowbird, Guardian, Aurora. I have a comic book where they are in Forest, Manitoba, which if you know Forest, Manitoba, it's like Why was that in a comic book? It's very weird. And then you got Scrappy Doo, annoying Scooby-Doo cousin. He made his first appearance in 1979, and Scooby-Doo has been shitty ever since. And last in this list is, again, my personal favorite, and somebody who had a big effect on my sexuality as a child, and I feel that's because I didn't make that. She had an effect on my sexuality. She's Black Cat from Spider-Man. If you ever watched the 90s cartoon, you know who she is. You know her curves. You know her look. It's why I love white hair, I think. Maybe that's why I love old people, too. I don't know. Moving on from literary and cartoon world, we are going to the gaming world because 1979 brought us 2 classic games still played today. I'm just going to go through them quickly. First off, we got the game that if you win, you're basically a fucking douchebag. It's Trivial Pursuit. First created at the end of 1979, December 15th in Montreal, Canada by Chris Haney and photo editor of Montreal's Gazette, Scott Abbott. First introduction, they used Scrabble pieces. I don't know. I'm reading about it right now. Nobody cares. It's Trivial fucking Pursuit. The second game that was invented, although it's still, the history of it is unknown, really. Sudoku, modern Sudoku was first credited in 1979 by, again, a retired architect in Connorsville, Indiana, 74-year-old Howard Garnes is known for creating the first Sudoku. Some people have credited to a French magazine in the past, which did number problems, but it wasn't exactly Sudoku. So those are some games. And before we head into the final first of the year, just a little bit up, what I believe to be the most important of the year, a quick random first. Did you know the first time a child was put on a milk carton was in 1979? You may remember the face of Eaton Patz. It was plastered all over milk cartons. Sadly, Eaton's body was never found, though charges of the man were convicted of kidnapping and first-degree murder. So fuck that guy who I won't name, and let's just take a remember Eaton Patz. I'm sure he was a cool fucking kid.
R.I.P.
R.I.P., yo.
R.I.P., yo.
And now to lighten the mood and close things out at first, we got the invention that changed music, as I said before. If you were around in 1979, you probably had one or dreamed of having it. It was the hottest product of the year. It was Sony's Walkman, the device that singularly ended back pain from carrying a giant boombox on your shoulder. It was invented in, I don't even have the information on this. It was invented by Sony in 1979. They're from Japan. They make crazy inventions, and it was dope. Cassette tapes that you could carry around. What was the first cassette that you owned? I think I owned Mortal Kombat.
Savage Garden.
Frog Stomp. Silverchair.
I owned all of those as well. So there you go, the many firsts of 1979. Again, I hope I learned you a little something. If this was your first time watching, don't make it your last. Coming up, we continue our time-tripping adventures with Eric in his final segment, and then we're all coming at you. The full news desk will be back after some more sponsors.
We're coming in for pizza. We're coming in for good. We're coming in to Pizza Hut. We're coming in for good.
At Pizza Hut, you can order your favorite pizza super style. That's extra cheese, extra toppings, extra good.
We're coming in to Pizza Hut. We're coming in for good.
What's up, guys? Me again. I'm here to talk TV, cartoons, and movies. I'm going to tell you the hits of 1979. Up first, we got Three's Company, a show that I watched quite a bit as a kid, mostly just for the intro because it was such a fucking catchy tune. A show about 3 sexy singles kicking in an apartment together in... Oh, they're trying to fuck with me. Sorry. Kicking in an apartment together with 2 girls and 1 guy. The one guy was played by John Ritter. I can't remember the girls' names, but the reason the guy moved in was the reason the guy was allowed to move in with them was because he pretended to be gay. I remember that part. And he had that gay around Mr. Furley, played by Dodd Knotts. Rest in peace. And John Ritter's dead too. Rest in peace with him too. Dukes of Hazzard. I went on a tangent about them earlier. The good old boys find trouble in their community of Hazzard County with their hot-ass cousin and their racist uncle. Premiered in 1979. These all just have fucking banger intro songs, man. I could listen to them all day. Dallas, one show I didn't never fucking really watched or heard of. My dad always talks about it. I looked it up. It's a show about a rich oil family in Dallas. I don't know. Yeah, that's about it. All I know is that, yeah, I don't know nothing about it. I don't want to try to pretend anything know about it, but it's called Dallas. Seems boring. Probably was. CHIPS stands for California Highway Patrol, about two motorcycle cops, John Baker and Ponch. They solve crimes and such on the freeways of LA. Another show I never really watched that much. I thought it was kind of lame. And Eric Estrada, if you guys can see that picture of him in the corner, I thought it was pretty hilarious. Up, what are you looking for?
I hear like the show coming through something.
Oh, it's probably my phone over there. Oh. Sorry, I'm fucking with Dane here. Yeah, up next we got Happy Days. Everyone knows Happy Days. Hey! So we got the Fonz and the Cunningham family. It was set in the 50s and 60s in Milwaukee. It follows the Cunningham family and a bunch of wacky characters. The standout character was obviously the Fonz, Arthur Fonzarelli. The show coined the term "jumping the shark." It's a term used when something has jumped the shark. It means that it's reached its peak and is never as good as it ever will be. Probably like this show. Up next, we got Different Strokes. It's a heartwarming show. Follows the millionaire named Philip and his three kids. One is one biological daughter. I didn't catch her name. And two adopted little black boys named Arnold and Willis. This show was coined the commonly used phrase, "What you talking about, Willis?" And yeah, those were the TV shows from 1979 that I decided to pick. Some of those I've watched, some of them I've never watched and don't plan to because Dallas looks really boring. Up next, we got cartoons. I asked some of my family, the family members that were alive in 1979, and then these were the consensus, or these are the ones that they told me to use. So here we go. First, we got Charlie Brown, Peanuts. It's about a little bald boy who is aggressively bullied by and treated like shit by his peers and his wacky beagle. And up next, we got Scooby-Doo. A cartoon about a stoner, a closeted gay man who wears a neckerchief, a sexy nerd, a dumb bimbo, and a Great Dane with a speech impediment. Another one that I don't think I ever watched, but looks interesting, is called Fat Albert. It's about a morbidly obese black boy who lives in a dump with his friends and is narrated and created by a convicted rapist. Last, but probably least, because I didn't really like this show either, was Yogi Bear. It's about two asshole bears who steal picnic baskets. And yeah, that's it for cartoons. What do you guys think of that? Auntie Chris and Uncle Jeff and whoever else I asked. Yeah, up next we got movies. Let's crack my back quick. Oh, all right. What's up first? We got The Warriors, directed by Walter Hill. This one's one of my favorites. It's about a group of gangs that's lost in New York, and they're trying to get back to Coney Island, and they're being chased down by a bunch of other gangs because they get together for this big gang rally, and then the Warriors get falsely accused of killing the leader of all the gangs, and they're running around. They wear vests. It's a sexy time. A lot of muscles, a lot of running, a lot of sexy time in New York. Meatballs, directed by Ivan Reitman. Ivan Reitman. He also directed Ghostbusters, classic cat movie. Has a lot of shitty sequels. The second one has an alien in it, so that just says how good that one is. First one's a classic though. It's got Bill Murray as the head counselor. I watched it not that long ago, and it mostly focuses on the counselors, not so much the campers. There's this one little bitchy camper who's the main character, other than fucking Bill Murray. But yeah, it's classic. It's funny. It's a good time. It's one of those campy fucking 80s movies. Good times. And then up next we got Aliens, the sequel to Alien. Very good sequel. I wrote it was, or no, wait. We got Alien. Sorry, Alien, not Aliens. My bad. Sorry, I fucked up when I wrote that down. Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, came out in 1970. It's about a group of astronauts or whatever in space, and then they land on a planet, and then an alien gets on their ship and starts running amok. And a lot of blood, a lot of gore, a lot of creepy alien shit going on. Started a big franchise. Some of them were good, some of them were bad, but the first one is definitely the best. Alien, Ridley Scott. Mad Max, another good one, directed by George Miller. It was one of Mel Gibson's first roles. He's a young, sexy cop whose family gets killed by a bunch of motorcycle terrorists, motorcycle gang people, and he's on a big revenge mission to kill these fucks. And yeah, bunch of sequels, also very good sequels. The only shitty one was the third one, Beyond Thunderdome. We got Rocky 2, directed by Sylvester Stallone, the one where he fights Apollo Creed again and finally beats him, I think. Yeah, I think he beats him in that one. Yeah. Sorry, spoiler alert. Rocky actually wins in the sequel. Directed by Sylvester Stallone. My favorite one was always the one with the Russian, but Rocky 2 was always pretty good. Deer Hunter. So we got Deer Hunter and Kramer vs. Kramer up next, which the two kind of confused me because I was looking for the best picture of 1979, and Deer Hunter was the best picture of 1979, but came out in 1978. But Kramer vs. Kramer won best picture for 1980, so confused me. Deer Hunter is about Russian roulette in Vietnam. Huh?
That's how they work.
No, but it was like, just fuck off, okay? Deer Hunter, about a group of guys who get forced to play Russian roulette against each other. Big crazy scene where they have to play against each other and they're all friends, so it's kind of fucked up. They're in a prisoner of war camp in Vietnam. Yeah, and then he goes back. Robert De Niro, Christopher Walken, a couple other people are in it. Robert De Niro goes back to the U.S. and he's a little bit crazy, but then Christopher Walken stays in Vietnam and he's even more crazy and becomes obsessed with playing Russian roulette. Kramer vs. Kramer, it's a pretty fucking whatever movie. It's about it's about a family, or a wife and a husband, and they're getting divorced and they're trying to get custody of their kid. It's pretty fucking whatever. And the last one I got on here is the Amityville Horror, directed by Stuart Rosenberg. That one, I remember I watched it at my cabin when I was a kid, and it fucking terrified me. I don't know why my dad's must be fucked in the head for letting me watch that at about the age of 7 or 8, but yeah. It's about a family that moves into a house. The house is haunted. The house makes the dad want to kill his kids. A bunch of crazy shit happens. It's possessed by a demon, and yeah, it's got Josh.
Ryan Reynolds?
No, not that one. That one came out later. This one's the OG in 1979. What the fuck's the guy's name? Josh Brolin's dad. James Brolin. Yeah, if you guys know who Josh Brolin is, he's Thanos and Cable, and he's in fucking every movie. This was his dad. And yeah, I think that's it for movies and everything.
What's your favorite?
My favorite, I'm looking at these right now, man. It's hard to pick. I'm going to go with fucking Warriors because that movie kills it every time. What about you guys? Out of this list, what do you like the best?
I'd say Rocky 2.
Rocky 2 or Mad Max.
Yeah.
I think Meatballs is pretty fucking good too.
Yeah,
this
man.
is a good list.
I know, man. 79 was a hot year for movies. A couple of honorable mentions. Life of Brian, the Monty Python movie. I always watched that as a kid and thought it was fucking hilarious. Not as good as Holy Grail and Meaning of Life, but it was close third. And another horror movie I watched when I was a kid that I thought was cool, and I watched it as an adult, and I shouldn't have done that because it's not that good. But when I was a kid, I thought it was super cool. It's called Phantasm. It's about phantoms having orgasms.
You should also shout out the Muppet movie.
Just give me their list. I'll just do it. Okay. These are some of Dane's honorable mentions. We got.
Far right there.
We got The Jerk, starring Steve Martin. That's a classic. Directed by Rob Reiner.
Oh, Rob Reiner.
No, Rob Reiner's dad.
Rich.
No, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Star Trek the movie, the motion picture.
Oh, Rob Reiner.
The Muppet movie, that was a good one, where they're in the Studebaker and they're ripping around. Yeah, that's classic. Moonraker, fuck. That's not a good movie. But worth mentioning because it's such a fucking diarrhea of a James Bond movie. Probably the worst one, but also one of the best at the same time, if you know what I mean. It's one of those shitty movies that's so good it's bad. And yeah, other than all these other ones I mentioned. So yeah, good year for movies. Very good year for movies. It's hard to pick my favorite, but I'm going to go with The Warriors. And that's it. I think up next we got the weekend update type shit, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
After this ad.
After this ad, yeah.
Where will you be when your mouthwash stops working?
The new neighbors.
Bad breath, honey.
But I
Should have used Listerine. Listerine Strong to work long, hours longer than the number 2 mouthwash. While Listerine will not help prevent colds or sore throats or lessen their severity, its strong formula keeps breath clean hours longer, kills the germs that can cause bad breath.
We're going to like it here.
Listerine Antiseptic works hours longer.
All right.
Welcome back, my time-traveling friends. How do we start this?
Keep asking me, phone.
Yes.
Welcome back, everyone. This is your yearly update. Eric, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, so we're gonna run through some little cute facts about the year.
Just think weekend update, but a whole year.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the year. This is actually a fact. I'm not making this one up. Charles Manson sent a get out of jail free card to his parole board in 1979. It didn't work. Oh, here, I should be doing this. I'm serious. I looked it up. It's true.
I know. Well, I'd assume. He just didn't write something completely fabricated. You got your track?
Just give us a sec here. Oh, there it is. Late response.
It took him a second to get it. A new cable network has launched this year called the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, or ESPN for short, which only covers sports. One NBC executive said, "Only sports? That will never work. What's next? A music channel or a food network? Fucking idiots."
Mentioned earlier, Elvita James, a woman who was miraculously saved by a gust of wind that blew her back onto the ledge of the Empire State Building's 85th floor after trying to jump to death from the 86th floor. However, that same gust of wind was not there when she jumped again the next day, finally accomplishing her lifelong dream of killing herself.
Fuck off.
You need like
Oh, sorry. Coke's catchphrase in 1979, it was, "Have a Coke and a smile." In 2021, the catchphrase for life is, "Do a line of Coke and smile."
The Sahara Desert experienced a snowstorm for 30 minutes straight. Even a barren wasteland of sand can get snow somehow, and my plug still refuses to pick up the phone after 1 a.m.?
After complaints from feminists at the time, 1979 was the first year that introduced male hurricane names. After this victory for women, they were kindly asked to go back to the kitchen and make a sandwich for that male hurricane.
James Bond franchise tried to cash in on the space trend that's set by Star Wars and failed fucking miserably with the hilariously bad Moonraker. There it is.
There it is. High school basketball player Daryl Moreau makes 126 consecutive free throws for a United States record. You know, because that's what all the ladies love. A short white athlete with solid fundamentals. It's more uncomfortable with the laugh track.
It's too late now.
We gotta keep it going.
The Guardian Angels were formed in 1979 in New York. I don't really have a joke other than the Guardian Angels are a joke.
1979, Black & Decker released the Dustbuster, and every boy ages 11 to 17 were taking it to their rooms to put their dicks in it.
Pope John Paul II visits his native Poland, becoming the first pope to visit a communist country. Catholics were quite upset with the Pope at the time. Really, Catholics? That's what you're going to be upset at the church for? Really?
1979, fuck off. The McDonald's Happy Meal first went on sale in 1979, introducing fun toys with your meal and childhood obesity.
Led by Magic Johnson, the Michigan State Spartans won the NCAA championship. When interviewed after the game, Magic said, "I feel like I am invincible. There is nothing that will be able to stop me." Magic, nothing. I can think of 3 letters that might disagree. And that's the yearly updates.
That's the yearly update. Is that what we're calling it? The yearly update?
Might as well.
All right. That's what it is.
Guys.
The genuine laughs all around.
Guys, what did you learn?
I learned that a lady tried to kill herself by jumping out of a fucking building and failed. I think that was the last thing she expected when she jumped out of that window.
Yeah, and she only fell 4 stories.
She only fell 1 story. It was the next.
Where was this? In New York?
Empire State Building.
Oh, yeah. How wacky. Yeah, I learned some shit. I learned that I learned a lot of shit about TV. I learned that cartoons really sucked.
Weren't that many.
Yeah, I was looking them up. Even the ones that the people were sending me were like, really? That's all you guys had to work with? But I guess 1979, they didn't have fucking Nickelodeon. Well, they actually did. Nickelodeon was created in 1979. I read that as well. You guys want to get into some fun facts?
Yeah, let's get into some fun facts and some other things that we didn't touch up on.
I could do one right now. The only fun fact I really have. The Smashing Pumpkins song 1979 came out in 1995, with 16 years in between the title and the year of reference. If it were to be released today, it would be called March 2005. That's not a fact. It's just a kind of a
I had 2
thing.
big takeaways. Fun fact, disco was way more fucking important than I thought it was in the late 70s because it is the butt of so many jokes at this day and age. But if you were alive at that time, you fucked with disco because it was the pop. It was
Even Kiss fucked with disco.
Even Kiss fucked with disco.
Yep. They their first big disco song was "I Was Made for Loving You," and I think a lot of people were fucked up by that because it was a rock band and they went disco, and it probably upset a lot of people.
I learned. Yeah, it was a pretty big year, I feel. Also, one thing I didn't go over was Robert Williams. He was the first human who was killed by a robot. It was in like automotive plant, and a robot arm mysteriously like turned on and just like rammed a pole into him or something and killed him. And now we're fucking robots 40 years later. So,
pretty.
I hope you're happy.
Thanks a lot, Robert Williams.
Some things, some notable births and deaths. We got Aaliyah, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Heath Ledger, Roberta Luongo, Evangeline Lilly, Mina Suvari, Oscar Isaac, Claire Danes, Jason Momoa, Kevin Hart were all born in 1979.
Well, births. I was like, Aaliyah didn't die in 79.
Deaths was
Trip me out too.
Sid Vicious OD'd in 1979.
Yeah, well, he was on bail for killing his girlfriend.
As well,
Oh.
John Wayne. Those were kind of the 2 big.
Ooh, the Duke.
The Duke.
The Duke died then.
John Wayne.
I think the biggest one for music was Off the Wall coming out. Young Michael Jackson gets away from the pop punk or from just the pop and starts grunting and
I love that
moaning
so much.
and
I love the song Off the Wall.
it had 4 top 10 hits, including Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You were on that album. He won AMAs for Favorite Soul and R&B album, which I don't know if I'd consider it those, but... and then a Grammy Award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. And this was the first step for Michael Jackson becoming the king of pop.
Yeah, I also learned that a lot of good movies came out that year. And if you were born in 1979, you'd be 42 right now.
Also, March 2005 sounds like a banger is my favorite comment from the night. I gotta throw that out there.
Which one?
March 2005 sounds like a banger from the Adultery.
The Wall was also released, like the movie, The Wall.
Oh, yeah.
With The Wall.
It's a trippy one.
Post-it notes were created. I was going to talk about first Happy Meals, but I actually did more research, and they were like nationally sold in 1979. They were first sold in 1977.
So stay tuned for that trend.
11 people didn't catch the Who concert because they were killed outside of the Coliseum.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati Riverfront.
Yeah, it was because they had rush seating for front row, and there was a stampede, and 11 people died, and how many
Oh, really? That's what happened?
Yeah, 11 people died. And
Oh, that's what it meant by they were crushed. I thought it meant like they were like something fell on them.
No,
they were
no,
trampled.
they were trampled.
Oh,
to death.
shit. The Who's are a bunch of dicks.
What's crazy is they didn't tell the Who about it until after the show. So the Who didn't
Wow,
know.
why would they want to kill
But
the
so
vibe?
the Who went out like a normal concert, and then after they're like, by the way, just a heads up, 11 people were stomped to death on
Just
the
so
way.
you know, tomorrow's going to be a shit show for you.
Yeah, tomorrow you guys are going to get a couple phone calls, just so you know. That's trippy. I just read they were crushed, and I just thought like maybe something fell on them. I don't know.
No, there was like another 30-something injured.
I remember seeing like a big documentary on that. My dad's a big The Who fan. I mean, I love The Who.
I was gonna make a joke about about how the only tragedy of that was that they didn't miss a good. I don't know. I can't remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say no. I don't know. I'm not gonna bother.
Texas and Oklahoma had 13 tornadoes. I learned that little fun fact. 13 tornadoes in 1979.
Life expectancy, male was 70, female was 77. Minimum wage was around $2.90 US.
Another big toy was the Magnadoodle. You remember that one?
No.
It's like
like the magnet drawing thing?
It's kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch.
Yeah.
It's like a more upgraded version of the Etch-a-Sketch.
They're terrible. Those are terrible.
Weeble Wobbles were big, and there's a couple other ones. No big toys yet, though. Those are more like the 80s.
There wasn't any crazy political things.
Star Wars action figures were still pretty big because the movie had just come out 2 years prior to this.
I mean, there was, the Iran hostage as well, the Ayatollah Khomeini revolution in Iran as well, I think.
Yeah, but
I didn't do much research into those. They didn't really interest me.
Isn't the Iran hostages thing? Isn't that?
I mean, Argo's a good movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that
Yeah.
Argo's based off of?
Yeah, the best picture.
Yeah.
But that's all I learned. I learned that 1979 was a good year.
I think we asked this last time. Would you like to live in 1979?
Yes.
Are we gonna do a poll?
Yes.
Let's do some polls.
So you guys are responsible
We've
for.
got 25 of you with us on an hour and some. We appreciate you. This has been a solid stream.
Okay, so if you have people in the chats, we are gonna name 3 years. You guys are gonna decide the next episode of Chime Trippin' which year we're gonna do. So we each of us decide a year, then everyone in the chats. So we're gonna put up a poll, and then you guys decide what year you want to see next.
As I'm setting that up and getting that, again, would you like to live in 1979?
I would live in 1979. The movies were all bangers. The music I didn't talk about, there was like Highway to Hell by AC/DC came out that year.
Oh, how could you not mention that one?
Because I talked about the popular shit from the year.
I was listening to a Spotify 1979 playlist. A lot of ABBA,
some Blondie,
some ELO.
Mm-hmm. Blondie did have a what was it? What's that song called? Was there like one of their biggest hits?
I think there'd be too much Bush for me. I just wouldn't be into that.
Heart of Glass was #1 for 1 week from Blondie. But everything else, Heartache Tonight by the Eagles.
You as well. You in chat. What did you guys? I know my parents graduated in 79, 81. I know Eric's parents graduated around then.
82, 83, I think.
So Kenneth's Frequency, Bev. What do you remember about 1979? Other than just fucking each other hard.
Oh, okay. That's an image I don't want to think about.
Man,
but I do.
I do, man. I think about your parents fucking all the time.
I don't care for this. Let's talk about something else. What year are you guys picking?
All right, so I'm about to put up a poll. So guys, what years?
I'm going to go the year of our Lord, 1993.
I'll go 1986.
86?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good year. Is that just because Never Any Story came out that year?
That and I was born.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
And I'm going to go, we've done 40s, we've done 70s. Let's go 1969. Nice. Oh, nice.
All right, guys, everyone in the chats.
All right, so keep that open there. Vote what you want us to see next as well.
You can vote on this one.
I can vote? Okay, I'm allowed to vote on my own.
Yeah.
I want to see 1983 because that's the year Days of Confused came out.
Oh, yeah, as well. People discovered a mummified bison in Alaska. It was like a new species of bison. And before they sent it to the Smithsonian or whatever museum, they decided to cut some of its neck off and put it in a stew and eat it. So they ate some 3,000-year-old mummified bison.
How tender was that?
Yeah, man, that must have been...
None of them got sick, but again, that'd be like freezer fucking burnt meat.
Isn't there like a fucking mummified toe that if you like go to like Nunavut or something, you take a shot and it's like, or in like
You have to
Alaska?
kiss the toe or something.
Yeah, no, you take a shot with the toe in it.
Oh, yeah.
And then it got stolen.
We got 12 votes and there's 20-something watching. Vote.
Let's go. Let's give it another minute or two.
You're going to have to listen to us talk about this in a month. So
As
get
well,
voting.
I'll take this time again. Go over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thesparebedroom. Hit that subscribe button. If you missed this show or came in a little late, you can watch it immediately after on Twitch, or you can wait for me to edit it down. And this time there will be a lot of editing.
You didn't even vote yet.
I did.
So you can catch those as well as all of our other content on youtube.com/thesparebedroom.
We got a video coming out. We're doing a peeps eating competition sometime this week.
Yes, Eric was really adamant about doing a eating contest, so he wanted to do junior chickens and like McDoubles, and I said, nah, I'd rather not die and hate myself for a day.
Yeah, but we're doing that this week sometime. Me and Aiden got a good start on our fucking wood burning that I've been talking about for fucking 2 months.
Yeah.
But Aiden's computer crashed, so that was my excuse. So yeah, we got some stuff coming out. Kooks, you got anything coming out?
Nope.
No?
Whatever. We're doing that Peeps video.
Yeah, we got the Peeps video.
And reaction, but I didn't do
Are
it
we
this week.
doing an interview 64 next week?
Yes, I was.
Or an interview?
Yeah, we're inviting our friend, or my friend from the How I Didn't Meet Your Mother podcast. He's gonna come in and we're gonna play some games and we're gonna talk shit and have a good time.
We'll maybe play some Jackbox games and maybe then
some
4 or
Jackbox
5
would be
people
fun.
in the chat can join along too and play with us.
That's a
And,
good
and
idea.
Star Wars Pod Racer. I want to play that.
And we can play some Pod Racer. We're gonna play on Switch since we still don't have the 64 or whatever.
If anyone wants to buy us a 64,
I mean, we have one. We just gotta fix it.
yeah, we have to get it fixed. If anyone wants to fix our 64, please do.
Yep.
That would be the most fun aspect. Interview 64 on a Switch isn't quite the same. But last chance to vote. We have 17 votes in the chat.
Alright, I'm ending viewing results here.
How are we dressing up next
69,
time?
I think. 1993, we're heading to the 90s.
Yes.
Let's go a 1-by-1 vote over 1969.
We each voted twice.
All right, guys. So next time we're doing 1993, the year of the grunge, the year of Nirvana,
We'll
fucking
be in some flannel.
yeah. I'll grow out my hair to look like Kurt Cobain. I'll dye it blonde. I'll shave my face and do a goatee, and I'll wear a striped shirt. And yeah, I won't shave my dick until that time.
Yeah, 1993 it is. 1969, good fight. We'll put you in the next one. I'll vote. I'll say 69 next time. Cause I got a
As
good
well, I just remembered, I'm throwing this out there in the universe. April 3rd, Saturday, April 3rd, will be 1 year anniversary from our very first Zoom party. So I'm thinking that we have another Zoom party, a final Zoom party to end quarantine. We're fucking over this thing. We're getting there. We're not over it yet, but we're getting there. And I want to celebrate it, so if we may set up a Zoom party April 3rd.
If you weren't around back then, Zoom parties, right when we started this show, this podcast, and then the world fell apart.
We were going to do our first episode of Time Tripping. Our last show before the quarantine was, hey, we are announcing a new show, and we announced Time Tripping, and here we are a year later doing it.
Yeah, man, Zoom parties used to slap, man. That was
Zoom
awesome.
parties
I used to
slap.
just sit in my room and have a party.
Yeah,
I'd
we used to
fucking
have-
get drunk and just it'd be a good way for everyone to get together, and it was sexy and slutty and.
So I want to do one final one before heading into the summer.
We're gonna play some Hangman.
Yeah,
The New York guy who loves friggin'
Yeah, we're going to invite that New York...
Yeah, the New York guy we had to kick out because he's too fucking weird.
We love you.
We love you, man. I hope you're still watching. Probably not, because you.
Yeah, because we booted him out of the chat. He's like, "Fuck those guys."
He was a Tiger King enthusiast.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the Tiger King days. Missed that.
Wild ride.
Yeah.
So Zoom party April 3rd.
Just put it on your fucking calendar.
Put it in. Get ready for some Hangman. Think of some phrases. And just get really drunk, and then it'll just be Eric, me, my dad, and Nikki at 4 a.m.
Yeah, those are good nights.
Yeah.
Just drunk in my room, just fucking yelling at my computer screen.
So look forward to that, as well as all of our other content. That's been another episode of Time Trippin'. A little shaky in the start again. We're still learning things. It's a lot of producing on the fly, but we're getting there.
I feel like I did a lot better this time than last
Shout out
time.
to our viewers. I hope you enjoyed. Tell us what you think. Did you enjoy it? I hope you learned something. Get the fuck out of our room.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.